Obviously it was valuable enough. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
That's all right. You know the way it is.
Yeah. I know.
We always talk over the intro just because we can, so people get a little glimpse of what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, it also gives time for people to come in.
Yeah.
We're talking about the wreck the week has been. For me, that means 3 computer crashes, losing 3 terabytes of data and programs, and trying to fix my computer to be able to be on today. So that's been my part of the week. Not fun.
Yeah, my part's been customer surprises. Go for a scheduled job and it's supposed to be one thing, and they add 4 others on top of it.
There's fun. How about you, Frank?
Started off the week on a really bad note. You guys remember my friend's dog Petey, who I had staying with us for like a year or so while his mom was deployed overseas?
Yeah.
Petey passed away on Sunday night.
Oh.
And Petey was my friend, the family of the McGlenns. It was their first dog, and Petey lived to 13 and a half, and he was a wonderful, wonderful puppy, and he became part of our family. And when they lost him this week, it was really heart-wrenching. And when you lose your first dog, it's exceptionally hard. It's exceptionally hard. I mean, Lori and we've gone down that road a dozen times now, between dogs, cats, every other thing. And it was just it put a damper on the whole week. It's just one of those things. We had a memorial service and funeral for him yesterday, which was lovely.
Yeah.
But all I know is Petey is predeceased by a pack full of loving animals that have welcomed him on the other side of the Rainbow Bridge. And even though he's not my dog, I know he'll be there to greet me when I make it over that side. So so to Petey McGlenn, Petey Pablo, we love you. We miss you, buddy. Yeah, he was a good boy.
Oh,
but I'll tell you that dog could fart, man.
Okay. A little different.
Petey never said nothing. He never said nothing, but you always knew when he was in the room.
Okay.
He was a good boy.
Never had that with my dog.
Well, your dog is like 6.5 ounces. He's a tiny little guy.
He's getting fat. He's 21 pounds.
Oh, okay. So he's almost the size of my cat, Simon.
Yeah. Let's see. Lexi is 68 pounds and Jaime is 76 pounds.
Good size pups. So far, I think my biggest dog was Zeus. He rang in the scale close to 200 pounds.
Yeah.
He was a brute. He was a big boy. Anyway, hell of a week we've got in politics this week.
Well, we were trying to give everyone a chance to get there, get your coffee, get your popcorn, and be ready.
Yeah, you need popcorn for this week. That's for damn sure.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you guys ahead of time. You guys are probably going to be leaps and bounds ahead of me about what was going on in this week. So all I caught was the tail end of the headlines. So all I got was the anger, of it. But and the striking of ridiculousness that's come out of the New York courts is how do you have a non-crime with no victim and find somebody a record amount of money for something that was not illegal and then ban that person from doing business in a state after you've already condemned them to a fine? Well, it seems a little odd to me.
Well, let's frame this properly for everyone. So what we're talking about is former President Trump was sued by New York State. New York State has taken the position under Letitia James, the same Letitia James that found Governor Cuomo, former Governor Andrew Cuomo. She investigated him based on the allegation of seven sexual misconduct, sexual abuse allegations, and found proof of 11 and did not charge him. She's also the same Letitia James that found out about Andrew Cuomo giving the orders to kill 16,000 Americans during the lockdowns because of his orders. And then he then covered up that information so that he would avoid a federal probe. And she didn't charge him with that. But she did decide that Trump she gave him the accusation of being fraudulent. And because of that, he obviously was guilty. Now, to understand this fraud charge, Trump got loans. He went to banks. He showed them his assets, asked for a loan, got the loan, paid off the loan ahead of time. He made a profit. The banks made a profit. New York State got paid its taxes. And somehow, in that process of him going to a bank, getting the loan, approved the loan, and then paid off the loan, everyone made money. Somewhere in that process, New York State is saying, well, that's criminal. It's criminal to get a loan, pay off the loan, and everybody make a profit. That's a crime if your name is Donald Trump and you happen to be beating Joe Biden in the polls for 2024.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing. They never charged him with a crime. This was a civil suit.
Well, when I say a crime, he's been accused and charged, brought into the courts, and is facing penalty by law.
But it was a civil suit. It wasn't, and that's the thing. She could not make it stick as a criminal accusation. So she had to take it to civil court.
Because there's no crime in this. There's no one who got hurt. Everyone benefited.
And that's the thing. Nobody was damaged. And that's why I don't understand the reason why the judge issued these fines.
Because the judge is in New York State, wants to get reelected. It's an election year for Democrats, and Biden is losing. That's why. I mean, it seems to me that obvious. Because again, no one was damaged. No one got hurt. Everyone got paid. The bank, Trump, New York State, everyone got paid. Everyone made money. And let's throw all of that out. They're saying it's a fraud. Wait a minute. That means every bank had to be in on it because Trump had to give them his assets. You want a loan? You're going for your mortgage? You're going to show them your paychecks, your bank account, the money that you have available. They're going to look at your job, your credit rating. And if you don't have the right numbers, you don't get a mortgage because the bank has, by law, requirements they have to hit. They can't bend it. These are the rules. It's on paper. If they lied, if they made a mistake, the federal government would step in and close the bank. That's how the law works. The bank said, here's the loan. You have the assets. There's no crime here. There's no fraud. No matter what people think of Trump, there's no crime here. Does that make sense? Am I explaining it well?
Yeah, It's baffling to me on this. It really is.
Well, it's
okay. This judge is part of the Democrat Party. Okay. In case people don't know, the judge on this case is Judge Arthur Engoron. Okay. He's a judge in New York City. He got his education from Columbia University and then New York University for his Juris Doctorate.
Yeah, he's elected. He wants to get reelected. He wants to have friends in the Democratic Party. He apparently has TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. He's not applying the law. This should lose on appeal. Absolutely. It shouldn't even have to go to appeal.
And actually, he was elected to a permanent position on the Manhattan Supreme Court in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So he's not running for election.
Well, the Supreme Court in New York is a lower court. Every other state, the Supreme Court is the higher court. In New York State, that's the lower court. That's the first step.
He's on the Manhattan. In 2013, he was appointed acting justice to the Manhattan Supreme Court and ran unopposed for a permanent position to that court in 2015.
Yep, got elected. Well, he should be up for election in 2025, if I remember correctly.
Well, he's permanent. Okay, he doesn't get reelected.
He got an appointment.
He was permanently elected to that position in 2015.
I didn't know you could have it. Wait a minute. As I understood, I thought all of the Supreme Court judges in New York have a 10-year term and have to be reelected. I didn't know
that may be the New York Supreme Court. This is the Manhattan Supreme Court.
Okay, I didn't know Manhattan had a different set of rules than the rest of the state, because upstate, it's 10-year term.
Okay,
that's fine. Okay, he's impermanent, which good and bad with that. But again, my problem isn't that he's a Democrat. It's not that he apparently doesn't like Trump. Those aren't the problems. It's not even a problem that New York State is trying to say, well, Trump's properties are worth $10 million when every single bank, every independent appraisal, the property surrounding it, everything says, oh no, it's worth it's $250,000. It's the value. He said the New York is saying 10 million. Everyone else says it's 250 million. That tells you something about the level here. The government's making up the case as they go, and they're making up their own evidence, because the evidence that actually exists, that is independently looked at, says New York State's out of their mind. Nothing confirms what New York State is saying. This is all political. This is all politics. They just want Trump to have a black eye. And there's another part to this we haven't even touched on yet, which we can get to. But just to bring it up, they banned Trump from doing business in New York State.
Well, not from doing business.
Well, he said 3 years.
Being an officer of a corporation or business in the state of New York.
Which to me is the same thing as banning him from doing business in New York State. It may be a specific manner of business, but still, it's banning him from New York State. I don't think New York State doesn't have that right. Think about it. Lehman Brothers. Think of Morgan Stanley. Think of all of the Wall Street firms. They have all collectively and independently lost billions, tens of billions of dollars over the last 2 decades alone. They have harmed people repeatedly in various bad business deals that they have done. None of them are banned from doing business in New York State. We've seen banks that have, literally abused their banks, and credit card companies have abused consumers repeatedly. Lots of businesses have done that. None of them are banned from doing business in New York State. The New York State government has screwed over, and forget about immigrants, just the regular operations of New York State. Its operations have screwed over citizens of the United States. They're not banned from doing business in New York. No one has been banned. And suddenly they're trying to put a ban, limited or not, on Trump. That's political. They don't have that power. They can't stop him from doing business. Capitalist society. If he pays the fine, if he loses the appeal, he pays the fine, he goes on, just like every other business. Why is he different? Politics. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. This judge wasn't even eligible.
Huh? The judge?
Okay. New York has a mandatory retirement age for judges and justices in New York State. It's 70 years, except for Supreme Court justices who can be certificated to serve for an additional 3 2-year terms beyond 70 until the year in which they reach 76.
Right. How's the judge?
Aragon was born either in 1948 or 1949, so he is 74 or 75.
So assuming that he got all 3 extensions, then he's on the edge of being out.
Right.
If he got all certifications. But see, that's another technicality. Here's the problem, folks. If they can do this to Trump for the reasons that they're doing it to Trump, there is no one New York State can't go after and do this kind of damage to. There's no one who is sick. There is no business that is sick. Every single business in New York State should be terrified right now that they're doing business in a state where at any day, because of the political whims of any of the elected officials, they could turn around and destroy your life and your business, because that's what they're doing here. They don't like you. So they will destroy your ability to make a livelihood. They will destroy your life, your employees' life, all the businesses that rely on your business. Yeah, they're all going to go bankrupt too, just because of the political whim of the AG and or the governor, maybe 1 or 2 mayors. That's all it takes. Piss off Kathy Hochul, piss off Letitia James, and bing, bang, you're done.
Yeah. Yeah, that's essentially it. Okay. And this goes into more and more of the weaponization of our legal system, is what this is. And we started seeing this when Trump was initially elected. Not only against Trump, well, actually, no. This started it back in the Clinton administration, when they started going after the Tea Party years.
Yes. They did same idea that they started, where they started limiting their
the
bank
IRS
accounts.
The Tea Party people.
Sent the IRS, Lois Lerner and them going after all the IRS people. Ooh, you're a conservative group. We've got to audit you for no reason other than you exist.
Right. And now it's extending on into the DOJ and the FBI and many other 3-letter agencies.
Do you notice the people who scream about how they are for diversity and equity and inclusion and everyone's going to be treated fairly are the people who are ushering in the most authoritarian changes we have ever seen? Because this
exactly okay. They are banning not just Trump, but other conservatives off of ballots across the United States. Most notably in in California,
Colorado.
We discussed that a couple weeks ago. The guest that we had on here a couple weeks ago,
West Virginia. That's
they are trying to make him ineligible due to the 14th Amendment.
Yep, Derek Evans.
And I mean, we've got others, and they are looking at going after very prominent Republican or conservative politicians that are actually sitting in office right now and trying to say that they are ineligible to hold office because of January 6th and the 14th Amendment.
For trespassing.
And first off, to say January 6th was an insurrection is, if you're going to call January 6th an insurrection, then we must also call, what was it, October 17th was also an insurrection.
October 17th, May 25th, the autonomous zones in Seattle Autonomous Zone, Portland, New York City, Austin, Boulder, they all had autonomous zones. There's an autonomous zone in Georgia right now, just outside of Atlanta, the Defenders of the Atlanta Forest, another autonomous zone. Mind you, each of these autonomous zones, people have died. Children have died.
Well, no, I'm talking specifically where politicians, elected officials, have actually been directly involved.
Well, many of the autonomous zones, they've been directly involved, where they've actually supported the lawless. Maxine Waters absolutely supported the autonomous zone in Minneapolis, which led to drive-by shootings live on TV, women being sexually assaulted, businesses being closed because of embezzlement. These are all factual, documented cases, and every single autonomous zone in the world violates every single local, state, and federal law. They are, by definition, insurrectionist, but they are approved by the modern media and the Democrats.
And the riots in D.C., where they stormed the White House. The riots in D.C. when they stormed the Supreme Court, which Chuck Schumer ignited.
When he was on the steps along with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, saying that they were going to violate the Supreme Court and its rulings, that they were doing so.
Rue the day. So if you want to use January 6th as a criterion of what amounts to insurrection, we've just cited multiple examples where that has more than exceeded what happened on January 6th.
Oh, yeah. There's dozens of, we just went through a dozen and a half, 18 different examples.
Yeah.
There's more.
Here is the other thing on this whole insurrection thing. Not a single individual has been charged with insurrection.
Including Trump. Yeah.
Right. Not a single individual. So if nobody's been charged with insurrection, why? If this was an insurrection?
Look, they know it was an insurrection. That wasn't an insurrection. The word insurrection was carefully chosen prior to the events of January 6th so they could plant the seed in the minds of the American voter. That word
that's all
was
it is.
Specifically so they could try and have a constitutional method of getting Trump off the ballot. What you were seeing with everything going on is exactly what happens when you corner an injured wild animal. They become more vicious and unpredictable and vindictive than you could possibly have imagined they would under normal circumstances. The Democrat Party is bleeding profusely from self-inflicted wounds, and there's a predator that they were able to protect themselves once against, but that Predator has probed the fences, knows where the weaknesses are, and knows exactly how to come back in and storm the castle. They are going to do everything under the sun that they possibly can. And when you have the president, the duly elected president of the United States, saying they are going to do everything within their power to prevent him from taking power again, it tells you that they don't care about the rule book. They've written a new book. It's the rule book according to the left, and anybody who's not on their side doesn't get to play the game.
Well, there's one other thing on this as well, okay? Especially the particular term insurrection. The only time there's ever been an insurrection in the United States was the Civil War.
Yeah.
Okay. And it is to denote that conservatives and Republicans, and primarily Trump and his quote unquote MAGA group, are racist. Okay, that is what the insurrectionist deal is basically to connotate.
Well,
it's another way of saying that conservatives are racist.
Well, not another way.
Without actually saying it.
It's just another thing that they pile on top. If you're not a Democrat, then you must be evil. You must be bad. Because, again, according to the left, and we know this because they're teaching CRT, critical race theory, and its applications to our kids, even in kindergarten, the applications of it. And they're saying, book after book after book, teaching the kids, well, you're born white, so that means you must be evil. Oh, you're black, you must be a victim. You don't get a choice on this. You never get to change this. This is lifelong, that you have a privilege or you don't have a privilege. And no matter which one you are, you have no choice. Only government can take care of it. You have to submit to government because you're not an agent. You don't have agency in your life. You're just a subhuman tool. It is very dehumanizing. They say the same thing about women, about gays, about trans. They have these formulas already built up, and every single one of them. You're trans? Well, that's fantastic. You're also subhuman, just like blacks are, just like whites are. You're subhuman because you can't do anything. You're being oppressed. You can't change anything about it. Go to the government. The government will take care of it for you because you have no agency over your life. It is dehumanizing. It is evil. It is oppressive. It is authoritarian and has no place. You cannot find anywhere in the Constitution where these things apply. Nowhere.
And that's this whole year is going to be a shit show.
Yeah.
And it's going to get, as we get closer to the election, it's going to get exponentially worse.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is, you haven't heard how, look at how they are demonizing MAGA. Make America Great Again is a positive term. The words in English, if you understand 6th grade English, then that term is positive. There is no way to make it negative without injecting political bias. That is the only way you get there. And the only ones who are injecting that negative political bias and demonizing fully half of America are Democrats, saying, oh, but you're not obeying. You're a problem. If you don't obey, if you ask questions, if you want something different than what we are offering, you're the problem. You're the bad guy. You're evil. This is coming from the left. It's so authoritarian, and they think they're angels. I don't understand it.
Now, okay, so for somebody who wants free and fair elections, they're banning people from running for office. For a group that wants diversity and inclusion, they're excluding people from their groups.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything that they supposedly stand for is sounding a lot like exactly what they oppose.
If they oppose it. Yeah. Because this is what they are really doing, I believe. And I think it's clear at this point. This is all about gaining power and maintaining power. It has nothing to do with actually living up to any of their standards. They don't care. They don't care about immigration. It's about power. They don't care about the economy. It's about power. It's whatever free stuff they have to give you to get that vote, they will do it. No, we have to waive the college debt, even though it will destroy the United States, the dollar. It will increase inflation. It will hurt poor people to do that. Don't worry about it. Do it anyway. This week, California, Barbara Lee is promising $50 an hour minimum wage.
Yeah.
This is the most stupid, insane thing I have ever heard. It is more dumb than when they said $15 an hour. When I heard Anthony Brindisi say New York 20, when he was running in 2020 for the New York 22nd district, and he was talking about having a living wage, $25. They're always upping the numbers because it has to be more sensational than the last time they said it. And it's free money. Look, $50 to be the fry guy at McDonald's. They're leaving out the fact that you're either going to be unemployed or the cost of buying milk is going to be like $22 a gallon. They're not telling you about that.
Okay. They really don't. Another thing this whole move is, okay, and a lot of people don't realize, and this is behind the scenes thinking, folks. If they get more people that are making minimum wage, it gives them more reason to increase minimum wages. So every time they increase the minimum wage from what it is now to $15, $25, $50 or whatever.
No, it's still $7.25.
No, hold on.
I'm with you. I'm going.
Okay. Whenever they try to push this raising of the minimum wage, the people that are in that group between what current minimum wage is and what the new minimum wage is, their wages aren't going to go up except to that new minimum wage. So now you have a group that were over minimum wage that are now minimum wage earners.
Yeah, so
your group of minimum wage earners just expanded exponentially.
Well, to make that make sense for people, so you've got the fry guy at McDonald's, you've got the fry guy, cashier, supervisor, and manager. Okay, so if you raise up the minimum wage for the fry guy, so he's making the same as, say, the manager. Okay, cashier. Okay, they go up to minimum wage too. Now, all three of them have the same amount of money, different responsibility. And they're all expected to do their jobs, but they all get paid exactly the same. No. The manager is going to say, I need more money. I have more responsibility. I'm responsible for more work. You're going to pay me more. Supervisor is going to say, I do more work. I have more responsibility. You're going to pay me more. Well, that money has to come from somewhere. That money is not just going to appear out of the air magically. It's going to come from, okay, well, that means we're going to raise up the price of a burger and fries to $35 because we've got to pay $50 for the fry guy, $50 for the cashier, and now I've got to pay $75 for the supervisor and $125 for the manager. This is how the prices go up and up and up. And by the way, when I say that this is an idiotic idea and it never works, this is the fourth time that this has been done since 2018. The Congressional Budget Office, CBO, has looked at this 4 times now because progressives have asked them to do this. And every time they've checked it at $10, $15, $17 an hour, all the minimum wages. And every time, do you know what the answer they get back? It's going to increase the unemployment. It's going to make poor people more poor. It is not going to help anyone. It is going to hurt exponentially more people than it could ever possibly help. And it's targeting 3% of the working population. That's it.
Well,
3%.
Here's the thing, that when you've got, say, 3 different pay scales at the fast food joint, say you got the minimum wage and you got the next step up is maybe $2 an hour more than that, then the manager is making $5 more than the guy making minimum wage. If you bring the pay up to $25 an hour, the manager is now getting minimum wage. He's now getting $25 an hour. The company is not going to be incentivized to pay him $50. They're already going to say, well, you just went from $16 an hour to $25 an hour. You just got your raise. So now everybody is going to have that same amount of money coming in, and the responsibilities are not going to be equitable. You're going to have people going to be more or less responsible, and they're going to say, well, we can't afford to pay you more than the minimum wage, because then our prices are going to have to go up, and then the place is going to have to decide, do we raise the prices and lose our customer base, or do we lose managerial staff?
No, they're going to have to. They're going to have to raise the prices, because
they're going to raise the prices anyway, because it's just the cost of doing business. But there's another component to all of this minimum wage talking that everybody always seems to forget. You talk about how it's only a certain percentage of people making the minimum wage. Let's not forget the millions of union workers in this country whose contracts stipulate that their base salary is dictated by percentages of the minimum wage. So if the base salary of, say, local 3 electricians in their contract is the starting salary for a local 3 electrician is 4 times the minimum wage per hour, and you go from $7, you got $7.50 or whatever. So now your base salary for a local 3 electrician walking in the door is $25 an hour, because it's 4 times the minimum wage. When you up the minimum wage to $12 or $15 an hour, now the local 3 electrician who is making 25 is now making 4 times that minimum wage. So now he's at $60 an hour. What do you think happens to the guy above him and the journeyman and the master electrician? They all get a percentage above what the lower person gets. So if they say we get 2.5 times what the apprentice gets, well, now your journeyman is going from $60 an hour to $180 an hour. And so everything goes up. The minimum wage component is not aimed at the 2% of people that are on minimum wage. It's aimed at trying to buy union votes, because the unions, why would the unions, show me a union in this country that starts off any of their employees at minimum wage?
They don't, of course.
They don't. So why are the unions always in favor of raising minimum wage? It's not because they give a damn about raising the bar for the lower end of the financial spectrum. It's because they know that every time that there's a bump in the minimum wage, everybody on their ladder goes up 3 rungs. So now you've got 12% of the population. They're not buying 2% of the population. They're trying to buy the votes of 12% of the population. Most union workers don't vote the way union leadership votes. But when you tell the union workers the Democrats are going to double your pay or triple your pay because we're going to go to minimum wage and try to push $15 an hour, well, now that vote now they start voting with their wallet. They don't necessarily see that milk is going to be $36.50 a gallon and a loaf of bread is going to be $25.
That's the part that's dangerous. See, that's the part.
Because that isn't going to show up until after the wages go up. They're going to see that check in their hand and go, holy shit, look at this check I got. And then a week later, that's when they go to spend it and they realize that they're still in the same boat that they were.
Actually, worse. It'll go up more. The prices will go up more than the amount they get paid, because there's inflation in there.
And the guy who's out there making $6, $7, $8 million a year, who for him, he doesn't give a shit if milk is $3 a gallon or $100 a gallon, because he's only using 1 gallon a week. It's not impacting him. The price of food isn't going to impact that guy. It's the food prices impact the small people. Gas prices impact the small people. It's not until you start getting into luxury items that it's going to start impacting the people at the very top end of the spectrum. So they don't care about the minimum wage.
You want to know what else happens whenever inflation increases prices?
An angel gets his wings.
Corporate profits go up.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
it's a natural result.
Let's be clear on that. Corporate net revenue goes up. Not necessarily
corporate profits actually go up. Margins don't go up.
No, the margins don't. No.
But their profits go up. Does that make sense?
No.
And let's not forget that Cedar pointed out the payroll tax is also get increased.
True.
The government now makes more money in taxes out of the private sector, having been forced to pay more money for lower rate wages.
Okay. Now hold on a second. Okay. So if a business, let's say, is making $1 million a year, right? Let's say it has a profit of $1 million a year.
You're talking math. We're going to lose everyone in the audience. Go ahead. Go ahead. They hate math. Go ahead.
And of that $1 million a year, $750,000 of it is what they have to pay out. So they have a $250,000, or actually, let's say $900,000. Make it a little easier. So that means that they have $100,000 net profit. Okay, and they have a margin of 10%. Right?
I'm still with you.
So inflation goes up 25%, right? Which increases the cost of doing business 25%. It also increases profits 25%, but the margin still stays at 10%.
I understand the way you're explaining it. That isn't actually, I don't want to get into the math of it, but that's not exactly how it wouldn't work out in those same proportions. I understand it should, you think, doing the quick math, it should, it doesn't. But there's a whole economic theory and there's equations about that. The stockbroker knows this. I don't want to get into it, but while it makes sense in discussing it, it isn't what happens in the real world. It isn't how it works. But I understand your reasoning. But let's pull back for a second. So we got to minimum wage based off the same thing that we're seeing here in New York. See, these are connected. And I don't think a lot of people notice that. It's the same authoritarian mindset. It is the same desire and absolute will to have power that has punished Trump, both in terms of trying to ban him from New York, punish him for having success, punish him for not committing a crime, no crime committed, is the same mindset, the same mentality that's going and saying, well, he hasn't committed a crime. He didn't commit the crime of insurrection. He's never been charged with it, never convicted of it. But we're going to accuse him anyway, and we're going to punish him again. No crime, but here's a punishment, so he's off the ballot. And it's that same mentality that also goes and says, okay, and we'll just give away free money, whatever it takes to get those votes in. We're suppressing certain people's votes because, I don't know, they might be white, they might be MAGA, they might want America to be a strong nation. So we've got to suppress them. And we have to bolster on the other side. We have to buy, literally, they are buying votes. Oh, we'll cancel your debt. Just vote Democrat. Oh, we're going to give you minimum wage increase. Won't affect you. It's only going to make you more poor. But don't worry. Don't think about that part. We'll talk about that later. We'll have a solution for that after the election, after we have more power. It is deceptive. It is authoritarian. It is evil.
Actually, Miss K is right here.
Okay. Oh, Miss K is, by the way, Miss K, she's down in the down under right now. So she's about 12 hours behind us. She's about 12 hours behind us. So it's first thing in the morning for her. Go ahead.
So it's about 9:45 for her.
Yeah.
In the morning. So she says, this is sustainable globally. Rates of solid wage growth would push up inflation in the labor services sector, as firms would need to recoup the cost of higher raises by raising prices on consumers. You're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. Okay. If they have to pay out more in labor, they are in turn, in order to keep their margins, which are set at a healthy rate of business, in order to keep business sustainable, then their prices are going to have to increase as well. Mm-hmm. Okay. Once you start getting margins, and depending on what business you're in retail, those margins are typically pretty thin. In other areas, you try to achieve margins of about 40%. Okay. And if you don't maintain those margins, then you don't have any growth of your business. You basically start going out of business if you start dropping below what your target margins are.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you do long term, you will be out of business because you can't achieve the cash flow needed to keep your business sustainable.
Yeah, it is amazing. I know we lost people a little bit in the math of it. I mean, but here's the kernel of it, because the math isn't that hard to figure out, but it's really simple. Because, and again, you can go to the CBO. They have done this 4 times. Don't believe me? Check the Congressional Business Office. Don't believe any of us here on the screen. Go to the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, currently under the Biden administration, and they will tell you the numbers themselves and tell you it is going to hurt you. You are overwhelmingly more likely to be hurt than helped by this. It is not going to do anything that is being promised to you. And the people who are giving you this promise, they read the very same Congressional Budget Office report that I read. They know that this isn't going to work. They know that they are going to take all of their constituents and make them more poor and or unemployed. They know this, but this gets them votes. That is the evil part of it. They know what happens next. They read the report that they don't want you to read. They saw the results. They don't want you to see those results. They want you to vote before you think, so that they have power and you have none. That's not constitutional. That's not America. That's what you see in Venezuela. And that's why Venezuela, people are starving and running into America, because it sucks. It doesn't work. We got to call this stuff out.
Every place that they've tried doing it, it doesn't work. Okay. And honestly, what we are seeing now, honestly, is the precursor of what allowed Mussolini and Hitler to rise to power.
Yeah. Free stuff. The other person's the bad guy. You're either with us or with them. Divide, which is equity. Divide. That's equity. Mm-hmm. Equity is divide.
Yeah.
Equity is evil.
And we've talked about it again. The only way to achieve true quote unquote equity is for everybody to have nothing.
Yeah. Which is the same thing you get with communism. Nothing. You have nothing. Your neighbor has nothing. Hey, you're equal.
You will own nothing and love it.
Yep. Or eat bugs. Yeah. Oh my God. I won't even get into that, but it is remarkable. And this is all happening in your face. It reminds me, I was talking to you about this, Mike, before the show in the green room. It's gotten so bad. People who've been watching this channel or watching my channel have heard me say since October 2023, I have been talking about the fortification of the 2024 election. I've brought it up many, many times. We know 2020 was fortified. We know that because Time Magazine, they put together the article.
Bragged about it.
Yeah, they bragged about the shadow cabal made up of a bunch of businesses and politicians and news media working to set you up to make sure that Biden would win. And now they're doing it again in 2024. I started seeing it and started talking about it in October 2023. And lo and behold, not only has YouTube changed its policies and started injecting their political opinion into your feed, now Google just changed its rules. They're now going to change your search engines so that they can have surface level, high quality information reach you. That's what they're calling it. Quote, surface level, high quality information, end quote, is going to be pushed to you in 2024 to help make sure you vote the right way. This is called fortifying the 2024 election. Not only did I say that, the quartering, for people who don't know who it is, this is an entertainment pop culture YouTuber who's got tens of what? I think it's got a couple million viewers. He gets millions of views. This guy, who's bigger than almost any movie that's come out all year, he's as big as CNN, and he's telling you this is the fortification of 2024. I think he watched my channel. He stole the term from me. But more importantly, we are seeing this now finally reach people and understand they are manipulating this. Because when you just listening to Google alone, as they came out with it today, so they're going to force certain information in front of you. That also means that they're going to take information they don't like and they're going to hide it from you. They're suppressing the stuff they don't want you to see, and they're going to push all the stuff they do want you to see.
And you're going to see that literally ramp up as 2024 goes along on every social media platform. Yeah.
This is how they guarantee. They're going to try and guarantee their votes. They're going to push you kicking and screaming. And again, this is authoritarian, and this is what the progressives and Democrats have put together. This is their party moving this. It's not the Republicans doing it. It's not the conservatives. It's not the libertarians. It's not even the Green Party. The Green Party, they're the communists. They're not even saying do this. No, it's just the progressives and Democrats.
Mm-hmm. And on top of it, it's already came out, and there are ongoing congressional hearings about it, about how the Biden administration and certain agencies of the Biden administration have basically strong-armed social media platforms to do their bidding.
Well, yeah, they didn't have
that strong-armed.
No.
Let's face it, the tech sector in this country is already, to the left of Hillary Clinton. They didn't need to be strong-armed. All they needed to have was a little bit more of a financial incentive to outweigh the backlash.
And they got it.
They also needed the government to help them cover it all up.
Yeah. Well, they got the okay. We know for a fact, it is a fact that the tech, the social media giants, we're talking about Google, we're talking about Facebook. We know for a fact that they are working right now, right this second, with the White House to determine what you should be seeing. That isn't me guessing. It's not some kind of conspiracy. That came from the Supreme Court. the United States Supreme Court. We know it is happening because the Supreme Court said it was okay to happen. So we know it is happening. It's not conspiracy. It's real. They are lining up against you, saying all roads lead to this vote. And this vote has to only be one way. You have to vote Biden. And if you don't, well, then you're not American. You're evil, and you're probably white and Republican. I don't know why they would say it like that, because I'm not. But, in their world, everyone who isn't a Democrat, who isn't voting for Biden, well, they have to be a 1930s German in America today, which makes no sense. I mean, it drives me nuts. This stuff drives me nuts, folks. And it's case after case. And I've been talking about fortifying the 2024 election for months. I've been showing evidence of this for months. Literally for 4 months, I have been showing evidence of this. They are just passing rule after rule, business after business, lining it all up, saying, no, you have no choice. Biden, the economy is great. Why? Because Biden said so. And Biden is brilliant. Yes, I know the special counsel came out and said that even though Biden was guilty, because he always was guilty of having classified documents in his garage next to his car out in the wide open, even though he had these classified documents for 40 years, that is a crime, period, full stop. There is nothing else, full stop. It's a crime. Even though he committed that crime, he's now too senile to appreciate that he's been committing a crime for 4 decades. So he's innocent, but yet he's also brilliant, stunningly brilliant. That's why he's in charge of having negotiations with Hamas to get back American hostages, which, by the way, they haven't come back. And he's in charge of international politics, which is why America got its ass kicked in Afghanistan, why 10,000 Americans were abandoned in Ukraine, 15,000 were abandoned in Sudan last year. Yeah, because he's such a brilliant guy. I tell you, oh God, they're pissing me off. I'm getting pissed off. Go ahead.
I just don't understand how every time you get one of these Democrats gets in some sort of, trouble for the media. When I say trouble for the media, it's just like they're not really in trouble. They're just in trouble for the media. Everybody can say that they're in trouble, so that they can have the illusion that we have a functioning system. We're investigating ourselves and found we did nothing wrong. That's the kind of investigation they do. But every time there's a Democrat that comes up onto some sort of investigation, there's a huge press conference where the person who conducted the investigation comes out and lays out line by line by line by line every single fact, every tawdry detail, every crime that was committed as factual proof. But no Democrat ever seems to get charged with the crimes that they were just told they know they committed. Hillary Clinton broke 1,000 laws, but she didn't
mishandling of classified information.
But she didn't intend to. She didn't intend to.
Not part of the law.
Okay. So you can drive drunk. I didn't intend on running over that family on the corner and killing the 6 of them. I didn't intend on doing that, even though I was driving drunk and broke the law and took these people's lives as a result of my act. I didn't intend on it. Oh, okay. You're free to go.
No. Take the analogy all the way. Not only did you're drunk driving, but you didn't intend to kill them. And so when you hit them and then you try to cover up that you hit them.
Then I drove my car to the body shop, had them fix the car. And then I transferred the title to somebody else's name and then sold it to somebody else. And then
filed a auto theft report with the police department.
Right. And then claimed I never owned it, like John Kerry's private jet. But they never intended to break the law, so it's okay. Joe breaks the law. All right. He had documents from when he was a senator.
Yes. Crime. Instant crime.
16 years ago. He wasn't the feeble, old, demented, memory shaky guy 16 years ago. Why did he have the documents when he wasn't even legally allowed to have them? He wasn't legally allowed to have documents as vice president. Correct. But he had documents from when he was a senator. So, yes. but now he's, his memory's not that good. So we're going to let it slide. What? I don't understand it. Wait a second. Trump passed gas in an elevator? Hang the bastard. Hang him. He let go of a weapon of Trump. He let go of a weapon of mass destruction in an enclosed space. He committed chemical warfare. We gotta indict him for something. Well, I don't understand why he's a Democrat. And meanwhile, I'm somebody you've heard. You remember me defending Bob Menendez way back when Santos and Menendez, remember the same week, they were both in trouble. Mm-hmm. Santos is gone and now indicted, and Menendez is still sitting in the Senate.
Yep. Hasn't been talking removed, about that.
From anything. He's still sitting there after they know that he allegedly took gold bars from Egypt.
Yep.
As a bribe. He is still sitting there. The only person who actually said anything on that side of the fence was John Fetterman.
Yep.
That said Menendez really needs to go.
Yeah. And then he stopped saying that.
What does it take? What does it take to hold a Democrat accountable for something in this country?
Well, killing somebody while you're driving drunk evidently doesn't.
Nope, didn't work because you're talking about Ted Kennedy, and he still made it to be senator. So nope, not that. You have to do more than actually kill people and be caught doing it. I don't even know what it would take to get a Democrat in trouble.
Well, who else was it that, if I'm not mistaken, I remember D.D. Myers also had a little DUI thing way back when, and that went nowhere. And Peppermint Patty over there. Didn't Peppermint Patty have a little run-in with the law not that long ago? And that seemed to go.
You're talking about Psaki, Jen Psaki. She wasn't press secretary then.
No. The current one wasn't the current one a couple of months back.
Wait a minute. You're calling Karine Jean-Pierre the ever wonderful, record-breaking
the woman of history, the history-making woman.
Yeah.
The historical figure.
Oh yes, the incredible historical figure.
Did she get caught up in a little a Dewey incident a couple of months back that seemed to disappear too?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, because it was gone before the fire didn't even get a chance to flash before it got put out. Didn't even get a chance to flash. That's nobody. These people, they don't ever pay a price.
Yeah.
Here's Nancy Pelosi spokesperson came onto the of the Senate floor and said Nancy Pelosi received a subpoena for something the same week that MC Hammer got convicted over there for beating her husband up. He got a subpoena the same week, and we have no idea what that was about.
Yeah.
Why is nobody asking that question? Is there any semblance of justice when it comes to, if you have a D next to your name, it might as well mean don't indict?
Well, I think the best way to explain that is when Nancy Pelosi, while she was speaker, she was at a women's event, and she was talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the New York 14th District. And this is famous. You can look this up on YouTube, the clips out there. Everyone's referred to it before. And she points to, because the presenter was asking her, well, what about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? She's got this whole movement, the Democratic Socialists of America, progressives are gaining strength. Are you concerned? How are you going to deal with that? And Nancy Pelosi goes, see that glass of water right there on the table, if I put a D next to it in Alexandria Ocasio's district, that will win an election. I'm not worried about progressives or the Democratic Socialists of America or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. This is what the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, said at the prime of her power. This tells you how much they actually care. Great example again. This last week, we were talking about this. In Binghamton, New York, the progressives took over the Binghamton City Council. They have run candidate after candidate after candidate. They have been on the campaign trail promising to defund the police, to reduce the police over and over again. And then, when actually presented with a bill that they could put up for a vote in November to disband the police, the very thing that they have run, candidate after candidate, literally for like 5, 6, 7 years, they have been running candidates on defunding and disbanding the police. They finally get a resolution in front of them saying we can put this on the ballot in November to disband the police. And every single progressive said, oh, we're not going to do that. Wait a minute, isn't that what you told your supporters? Isn't that what you've been promising? Isn't that what you said you were there to do? And their answer was, yeah, we're not going to do that. They don't care. It's all about power. And it is being expressed, whether it's Trump. And again, I don't care how you personally feel about Trump. You could love him. You could hate him. I don't care if you want to have a beer with him or not. It means nothing to me. This isn't about feelings. This is about power. They're doing this to Trump. They're doing this to our cities. They are doing this to you. People have to get that through their heads. This is happening to you. We are becoming an authoritarian state, and you watching this right now are suffering. You may not notice it yet, but it's happening.
Well, it is. Well, like I said, it's Trump is just a symbol. That's all he is. He's just a symbol. You know, he's a symbol of a movement that, you know, galvanized behind him. And this, everything that they do to him is basically trying to tell anybody that follows him, we can do this to a billionaire, a president. Imagine what we can do to you. Imagine what we could do to you. Like I said, Trump has got the wherewithal to defend himself. He's got the wherewithal financially to go to court and to do all the rest of the stuff. And he does have the rank of former president. That does have a certain amount of benefit that goes along with it. Like, you're not going to put the man in prison. You're not going to put, you'd have to reconstitute a private island and have him as the only person there if you were going to have him go to prison. But they're telling you this is what happens if you oppose the agenda and you don't have the ability to do what he does. So imagine how much we can make you suffer. And that's what they're doing. Oh, by the way, everybody might have noticed I'm wearing a shirt this evening that says Paul Harrell, Legends Never Die. In the link for the description for tonight's show, you're going to find a link for a website where you can go buy this shirt. Paul Harrell, for those of you who don't know, is a legend. The man is one of the Second Amendment community's greatest treasures. He's the William Shatner of the gun community, to put it that way. He's got a fantastic YouTube channel with hundreds and hundreds of videos, extremely informative. He's got one of the most charismatic. If you appreciate a dry sense of humor and a very monotone delivery that has punchlines where you don't expect it and seriousness where you don't expect it, the Paul Harrell channel is something you need to check out. Well, about 6 months ago, Paul Harrell was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And Paul has been fighting this fight vigilantly and diligently, and to the point where he has appeared on his channel every week until the point where he can't stand. And Paul's brother is now taking over the channel for him while Paul is still producing. But this shirt represents a fundraiser for Paul and his family to help them through some of the financial hardships that this disease has taken upon them. And not only that, but to benefit cancer research at the facility where Paul has been being treated. Now, Paul is in the fight of his life. He's nowhere near out of the woods. And if there's anybody on the face of this planet who has a chance of fighting and winning, it's Paul Harrell. He is a phenomenal person, both in front of and behind the camera. He's a tremendous advocate for the Second Amendment and all of our causes and for freedom in general. And if you can highlight the link and go take a look at it, but we're not getting nothing out of it. But Paul Harrell, just for me personally, he's just an amazing individual, and would really like to be able to have our audience show a little bit of love for Paul and his family. And if you guys can go to the Paul Harrell fundraiser, it's at TriStar. The link is on our show description this evening, and I'll put it up into the comments. Buy a shirt, $25. It goes for a hell of a good cause. And if you're going to be doing any cooking this weekend, go get this will be an inside joke that only nobody will get. Go get a bag of oranges, a couple of packages of ribs, and tenderize the living hell out of them and have yourself a barbecue or do something like that, because those are Paul Harrell's favorite medium in which that he likes to shoot. But again, Paul is an advocate, and I wouldn't do the range report. I look to him for a lot of guidance, for how I present things in the way I do things. And the man is just awesome. The man is awesome, and we're praying to God every day that Paul pulls through and continues to do what he's doing, because our community is not ever going to be the same without him. So, like I said, if you can go to that fundraiser and buy a shirt, you'd be doing us a cause in health. Take a picture of it, post it on the Liberty First Foundation website. Tell you what I'm going to do. Everybody go buy a shirt. Take a picture of yourself wearing that shirt. Put it on the Liberty First Foundation Facebook page. The first 10 people that do it, I will randomly select somebody from that list, and I will send them a beautiful hunting knife as a thank you. So go and do that. And I'm serious. I when I say I'm going to send something out, I send something out. So do that. Help Paul, and let me help you, and do that, because it's worthwhile. It's to say thank you. Paul's been doing this for years. Show him some appreciation for the hard work that he's put into it. And now back to you guys. That was my little unsolicited thing. If I didn't do it now, I'd be afraid I wouldn't get to it later on the show.
No, it was great that you brought it up. I mean, it's always good to have a good cause, and to mention someone's health, someone who's given so much to so many people. Always worthwhile to bring it up and to point it out for so many people. And it's kind of a segue, because, well, we do know this. We found out. There it is.
All right. Yeah, hold on real quick. Marshall, give me center stage for a second real quick.
Yeah.
All right.
There.
Give me 10 people. Go buy that shirt. Post your picture to the L1F Facebook page. This is the hunting knife I'm going to give out. 1/4 inch thick, hardened steel, multi-edge. This thing weighs about a pound. You could beat the living hell out of this thing. You could cut down a tree with this thing. Comes with a Kydex sheath that you can adjust to go on any kind of belt. This is not a cheap-ass knife. This is a very expensive knife. Give me 10 photos of you people buying a shirt to help Paul. This is the knife that I'm going to send out to you. Okay? This is from my personal collection. This ain't no cheapie. I don't buy crap. I buy good stuff. So I'll give this one out. You help Paul, I'll give this one out. So there you go. I've got like 200 knives in my cabinet over here. That's the one I like the most. So that's saying something.
Yeah, well, you know what's going to happen now. You know what's going to happen now. YouTube's going to say, "Oh my God, you were holding
somebody
a knife.
got a knife on him.
He held a knife. Therefore, we got to eliminate the entire video because Fortify 2024 bastards that they are."
Yeah. Well, look, I could have given away this little one, but no, I don't. It's go big or go home.
Exactly. Yeah. No, again, still very worthy reason. But I wanted to, and again, it segues into something that Paul would have probably talked a little bit about, given the opportunity, and he still may. And I want him to be healthy, to be able to come in, maybe even on this channel, to talk about these kind of things. The thing that gets me about what happened in Kansas City. Now, I think most people, I didn't see the Super Bowl, don't care. Don't care about the Super Bowl whatsoever. Stopped caring the moment that Colin Kaepernick started kneeling and they started talking about a black national anthem, because there is no nation of black and I'm an American citizen, period, full stop. But Kansas City seems to have won. Fantastic. Good for them. Good if you're the fan. Great. I'm happy for you. They had a parade. Fantastic. Good for the city. Brings in money. Happy for them. 2 kids under 17. I've seen reports for different ages. Some say about 15, wherever. Doesn't really matter. They're under 17. Apparently got into an argument with a bunch of other teenagers. And they decided that the only solution after getting into a fight with these other teenagers was that they had to shoot everyone. Shoot everyone. And they did try to shoot everyone. And, and one thing I noted in this article, as you can see here, this is coming from the AP, and the mayor, the brave mayor of Kansas City, Mayor Quentin Lucas, ran away. Didn't take his wife, who was there with him. He left his wife and his mother and ran for safety, according to the AP. This is the big, brave politician out there who wants to get more and more gun control. They're running away with tail between their legs. But this ultra brave person is now talking about, and we're hearing Democrats talk about gun control again. Mind you, Kansas City is one of the leading cities in the country on gun control. They've implemented almost everything that the Democrats could possibly want. Everything the progressives have ever suggested is just like in LA, just like in Detroit, just like in Baltimore, in New York City, Chicago. They've put in all the rules, all the gun control. And 2 teenagers sprayed down a parade full of people. And their answer is make another law. And I have to say, we've gone through this many, many times before. When are people going to learn that you can make as many laws as you want? Criminals don't follow the law. Period. Stop making, and on top of that, law-abiding citizens aren't the problem. Make a law, target the criminals like gangs, and I guarantee you this thing is Absolutely. I guarantee you, it's not just a couple of teenagers were fighting with teenagers. I am absolutely willing to bet money this was a gang fight. Those teenagers were part of a gang fighting another gang, probably over drugs, and that's why there was a shootout. Because teenagers don't just randomly pull out guns and start shooting each other if there's no money, no drugs, and no power involved. This was a drug fight at a parade, and no, I don't care how many gun control laws they pass, they're not going to stop this. Am I right?
Well, and another one. Okay, Lakeland.
Mm-hmm.
Lakeland Church and Joel Osteen's church.
Oh, that's the trans shooter.
What's that?
Another country. From another country.
No, it was a woman.
No, they were they were trans.
No, this was a woman. She had her child in her arms.
I'm very sure that was a trans shooter.
The Joel Osteen church?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a woman who's a trans man.
Yeah.
Identifies as a man. Still a trans.
Okay.
It's just going the opposite way.
Well, they don't mention that in any of the articles that I've seen.
Yeah, they wouldn't. There's a reason for that. They didn't mention the trans status of the Tennessee shooter after the first day and a couple of the other trans shooters. They like to omit that fact. But yeah, go on.
Okay. But here we've seen, first off, this person, whether it's trans male or a woman or whatever, had multiple felony convictions, including weapons charges. They weren't allowed to have firearms.
Right.
And so right there shows criminals don't follow the law. And right now, they're not releasing why this shooting supposedly happened. I will almost guarantee, as much as the left has been harping on mega churches and taxation of mega churches, that has something to do with it. Well, especially now that I find out that this is supposedly a trans man.
Well, there's also been the tremendous push on that side of the aisle to hate everything that is religiosity. Anything that comes down on the rainbow doesn't stand for what you think it stands for. The rainbow was actually God's promise to humanity that he would never flood the earth again because of the debauchery that they were guilty of prior to. That's why the rainbow was chosen. It was like, well, that was a slight against religion. That's why the rainbow was chosen. It wasn't because it was a multitude of different colored people. No, it was a religious symbol. It was
right.
That's why
taking on Sodom, Gomorrah, and the Great Flood, Noah. Yeah,
right. But this constant attack from, because you've heard it, MAGA people. We're the devil. We're evil. We're not inclusive. We're this.
Alt-right Christians.
Yeah, alt-right Christians. Everything that can be pointed to as being a right-wing, center-right, even down to these profiteering preachers like Joel Osteen. As far as I'm concerned, the guy's not a preacher. The guy's a prophet monger. All right, these feel-good people.
I agree.
That's not church to me. That's not church. That's a
cult.
Yeah. I can't even call it a cult. I can't even call that a cult. It's called what they call prosperity preaching. It's like these people, they go and they don't want to hear the word of the gospel. They want to hear how everything that they do in life is good. And if they do it the way that they do it, they'll, prosper from it. It's like they don't preach about, you don't ever hear about the fire and brimstone from Joel Osteen. Joel Osteen only wants to talk about the beautiful stuff and everything else like that. But all of that, everything religious is being attacked by the left, except mosques. Mosques are the only one that is free from those attacks.
That's the approved religion at the moment. Yeah.
Right. That from the left. But it's all lumped into the same thing. The left wants to equate anything religious. The more strongly religious you are, the more conservative your belief system is probably going to be. The more conservative your belief system is going to be, the more inclined you are to vote against the Democrats who are in public office. Because if you look at how they've been running amok lately, what we would have deemed insanity and had people committed for 20 years ago is mainstream leftivism today.
Yeah.
And if you don't apply to that philosophy, you're evil.
Yes.
That's just the trans girl that shot up the school.
Tennessee trans shooter.
Was all about, she wanted to go after a church, but the church was armed. If you remember in her manifesto that they released parts of it, she wanted to go after a religious school, but she couldn't because there was armed protection there. She wanted to go after religious things, and that school happened to be the next alternative. From
the documents that were released, never denied. Never, by the way, people may say, well, it was on Steven Crowder and it wasn't real. No one has ever denied that the manifesto that was released, the 3 pages that were provided to the public, no one has ever said that they were not true. The attack was, Steven Crowder shouldn't have had it. He shouldn't have made it public. No one ever said, but it wasn't real.
It's the Biden laptop of mass shooters.
Exactly. Total distraction. Let's not talk about the fact that there's a problem here. It's intrinsic in this ideology, and it leads to these kind of results. Again, we see this over and over again. Whether it's the idea, and I've said this before, we've seen a 1,000%, actually more than 1,000% growth in the number of people who think that they're trans, because it's being praised in every form of media and education. And so we have tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of kids today, people who think that they are trans. What if we're wrong 1% of the time? What if 1% of that population is wrong? That we have sold them a set of fake goods and they're going to resent us. They're going to be angry, and there's nothing set up to take care of them, to help them out, because there isn't a reverse surgery. There isn't a reverse set of drugs that they can take and go back to where their original set. There's no reset button. And so they're going to suffer for the rest of their lives because we sold them a bill of goods and didn't tell them the problems that come with it. And then we see them lash out. And this is what we're seeing. Go ahead.
We're only giving them puberty blockers. They think that it's like hitting pause on a VCR tape.
You don't pause the human body.
Unpause it and pick up where it left off.
No,
you are screwing with a natural course of events that every living being on the face of the earth must go through in order to come from infancy to maturation. You cannot mess with that programming and think you can just reset it when you want to. No, you can't.
No,
you can't get a tattoo in any state in the United States if you're under 18, but you can go cut your yin yang off when you're 12 because you feel like something else that day.
Yeah, and we have nothing in place to correct these situations. And again, even if I'm assuming, let's assume we're wrong 1%, 99% of the people that we have convinced about this, that we have sold this in the media for, absolutely, yes, okay, let's make that assumption. It's wrong, it's not real, it's not correct, but let's say that. And there's only 1% that we have gotten it wrong. What are we seeing happening with that 1% that we have gotten it wrong, that we sold them a bill of goods? We're seeing them come out. Tennessee shooter. We're seeing this shooter. This is what, the 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th trans shooter that we have seen. Mm-hmm. And this is at the beginning of the wave. And these are people who were early adopters. they have already been trans for a year, 2, 3. What happens when we go into going forward? All the ones that in the last year or so, going forward 3, 4, 5 years, and they start realizing, oh no, this is a mistake. This is a problem. We have an issue here.
Ultimately, okay, and I'm not saying this is for everybody, but ultimately, there's got to be a narcissistic root to people that are trans, because they typically like to be the center of attention. Okay. I mean, why else would you just abruptly change your sex?
There's a couple of reasons why people do it. One, they have very low self-images. Again, we're assuming the worst case. I know it's YouTube censors. Hear me out. I'm not saying anyone shouldn't do anything. I'm not a doctor. I'm not in charge of anyone's healthcare. But we have seen in some studies different percentages, so may vary with your mileage, but some people do it because low self-esteem. They follow the trend. It's popular now. In fact, we are starting to see, and studies are coming out and saying, well, it is accelerating and expanding the influence towards this because it's popular now. It's in every movie. It's in every book. It's in every classroom. And they're always
everywhere.
And it's always painted in the brightest, most wonderful rainbow, unicorns, pixie dust kind of perfect world. That these are perfect people living perfect lives. Yeah, we used to sell cigarettes on that same idea, and now that's illegal. Think about it. Go back to the commercials when you used to be able to advertise cigarettes on movies and in
your doctor
TV.
smokes Camel.
More is just what the doctor ordered.
Women are sexier when they smoke Virginia Slims. These are the things that used to exist. And we've already determined, okay, these were all lies. Well, same thing we're doing right now. Now, to bring that back, here's the thing. We can't, in the same way that there's no law that could stop a trans shooter from losing their mind and going out and committing these horrific acts. There's no law in Kansas City that's going to stop these teen, I believe, gangbangers from shooting at each other. No. Because these are people who have decided they are criminals. They have criminal intent. And there is no law that will ever stop them, and no law has. If there was a law that could stop it, it would have stopped it back in 1970, because they've only passed different versions and different flavors of the same exact law. You can't have a gun. That's every part. That's gun control in 3 words. You can't have a gun. 5 words. 5 words. That explains all of the Democrat policy on gun control since 1970. You can't have a gun. That's it.
Well, getting back to the shooting in Kansas City.
Yeah.
I would be remiss if I didn't point this out.
What's that?
Well, you have tens of thousands of people in Kansas City out there celebrating their football team and saying, we won. No, you didn't play. They played. You watched. You didn't win shit. Okay. You didn't win shit unless you bet with your bookie. That's what you may have won. While everybody's out there celebrating the football players as heroes for playing a game.
Yeah.
They're heroes. I just want to call out the 6 people that when the shooting started ran towards the danger and tackled the gunman.
Oh, not Mayor Lucas, who ran away from his wife and his mother.
There was 6. I watched the video. I couldn't count it because there was a street sign in the way that was obscuring some of the view. Somebody had an aerial video. They must have been in a high-rise building. They had shot the video that while the shooting was still taking place, charged the gunman and tackled him to the ground, getting the gun from him. The camera pans away about 150 feet away to the right, and there's 6 or 7 of Kansas City's finest standing there, wondering where the shots are coming from. Meanwhile, there's 6 guys go over and tackle the gunman, and it wasn't until like a minute and a half later that police actually. Now remember, this is a parade. Whatever the hell, it's some festivities out there. There's hundreds and hundreds of cops all over the place.
10,000 people.
2 minutes. It took 2 minutes for the cops to show up to where these guys had the gunman pinned down.
Yeah,
2 minutes.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. It's 10,000 people.
But where the shooting took place, when you did you ever do the experiment when you were a kid where you put pepper in a you take black pepper and you put it in a bowl of water,
right?
And you take a bar of soap and you put it inside the middle of the bowl, and what happens? All the black pepper goes out to the sides. The film that the soap creates, it pushes all the black pepper out to the side. Right. It's a cute little science experiment.
Never. Okay.
Yeah. It was
not in the Bronx, not in my high school.
Well, that's what that scene looked like. Okay. The shooting started and everybody ran in every other direction except these 6 people that ran to the danger. Kansas City, if you want to throw a parade for somebody, get these 6 people, put them on a float, and celebrate them, because that was the heart of your city. That was the heart of your city. Those were people willing to put their lives and their well-being ahead of anything else so they could protect the 10,000 people that were in attendance there. I didn't see your quarterback or your linebackers or your wide receivers or your safeties jumping off the float and confronting danger. I didn't see that happen. I saw 6 civilians step up to the plate and put their lives on the line to do that. That is who you need to throw a parade for.
I agree with you. And it definitely isn't the mayor, because Mayor Lucas ran away. I can't help but say that. He abandoned, apparently, according to the news, AP, this is from the Associated Press, he ran away from his mom and his wife. He ran away. Oh, what leadership you have in Kansas City. Why am I not surprised the city has so many problems with that kind of leadership? But those men do deserve to be praised, because they did put their lives on the line, and that's part of how you stop the crime. Individual people have to step up. That's what stops it.
I don't think Kansas City is nearly as bad as New York City, but I'm sure if that happened in New York City, those 6 men would have all been charged with assault by now.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And held without bail, while the shooter would have been let go by now.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Because, he'd have been hurt and they assaulted him. It was a crime. And, how dare you assault someone with a gun who's committing a crime?
Yeah. You have to wait for him to run out of ammo first.
Mm-hmm. You have to run first. Run. Someone will eventually. Don't mind the fact that he's shooting people in their backs. No, that's okay. Someone will eventually get there, because the government will save you. No, the government doesn't.
Well, between now and November, you're going to see a lot more of this happen.
Yeah. I saw a post someplace. I don't remember what social media platform it was, claiming that in the first 43 days of the year, there has been 46 mass shootings.
No, there hasn't.
No.
They make these numbers up, folks. When I say no, there isn't, they're talking about, okay, this gang showed up on a school football field on a Sunday at midnight, and there was a shooting. Well, it's a school mass shooting. No, it's not. No, it's not. There haven't been 46 mass shootings in America. No, there hasn't. They're so full of shit. Go ahead.
You like my Buddy Holly glasses?
What, did you go blind all of a sudden? What the hell?
No, I haven't gone blind, but my eyes are 52. So pulling splinters out has become a little bit more tedious as
I understand. That's why I have these. But you notice,
and why I have these.
But I went to the eye doctor. My eyesight is still slightly better than 20/20. I can still see tomorrow coming. I can still read things, 8 blocks away. It's just the up close and personal thing. It's mostly, I think, due to the diabetes. The diabetes does have a tendency of messing up your eyesight a little bit on the close-up stuff. So
especially when your sugars are out of control.
Yeah, so as soon as I start losing a little bit of weight, hopefully soon. Hey, Dal, by the way, were you talking about these?
What?
No, Dal mentioned before in the chat that he liked tactical tomahawks. So, no, I'm not giving this one away. This was a gift from my brother Fernando as being a groomsman on his wedding day. So, yeah, my friend, when I'm in a bridal party, my friends know what gifts to give out.
No, you got to know your friends. But here's a question I want to ask everyone, and I'm being we've been serious, but I have an ultimately serious question, and I hope people get to ask their politicians. Clip this part of the video, if nothing else. Share this with every politician, especially every politician that believes in gun control. What would have stopped the two gangs? What would have stopped those two juveniles, those 15-year-olds? By the way, not legally able to own a gun. They're juveniles. They're under the age. They couldn't own firearms. They couldn't own handguns. By the way, these weren't rifles. They weren't shotguns. These are handguns. Okay. It's already illegal for them to have the handguns. What law was going to stop them from? They already broke the law. What law was going to stop them? And hear the silence? That's the answer you get from every Democrat, every progressive. This is the answer. There is no law. They have nothing.
Because they already violated the law.
Well, yeah, and they were going to commit more of a violation of the law. The thing is, this is how they manipulate you through fear. Because no one stops to say, hey, wait a minute. So what law stops them? What law? We've been passing these laws again for the same 5 things. You can't have a gun for what, 4 decades, 5 decades now. We've been passing the same law, different versions of the same law. You can't have a gun. It hasn't worked ever in the past. It's not working now. And don't tell me, oh, but it kind of works. Are people still getting shot?
You want to know something? I'm going to tell you the bottom line.
Okay. I need to hold on just a second.
Go ahead.
I need to get out of here. I got to go to work in the morning.
Oh,
all right. Well, we're going to be wrapping it up. We're going to be wrapping it up in 15 minutes anyway. So
yeah,
if you want,
I need to get out of here. Okay,
get out of here. We're tired of
you guys have a great night. Thank you everybody for showing up, and we will see you next week.
All right, Marshall. Catch you later. Say hi to everybody on that side of the state forest.
Will do. You take care.
all right.
All right, so I'm gonna give you the straight skinny on what stops these things.
Sure.
And this is an example of me when I say they play long ball. Shootings and horrendous things like this are all part of a design. All right, there's gonna be a little bit of a philosophical rant here, but you got to follow me. You got to follow me. You got to follow me on this.
Go ahead.
These things are all by design. You've heard me say time and time again, there's nothing that the Democrats and the left loves more than dead kids. Yeah. They love dead kids. Whether it's through abortions or mass shootings, they don't care. They want as many as they could possibly get because they both fit the agenda. This is all by design. They always say what can stop these things, and they always point to trying to pass more legislation.
Right.
More legislation, more control. More legislation, more control. More control, less freedom. Less freedom, more control. Less freedom, more dependency. More dependency, more control. This has been the long ball agenda of theirs for decades and decades and decades. The thing that stops these heinous things from happening are the very things that the left endured to destroy for years and years and years. Morality. The left has done everything they can. And now, believe me, I am not in any way, shape, or form a religious person. I have faith, but I don't have religion. 8 years of Catholic school cured me of religion. Okay. I have faith. I know what's on the other side. I've been there. I know what's there. I know what's waiting. I know where I'm going to eventually wind up, I hope. But I have faith in my morality. I know the differences between what's right and what's wrong. When I grew up, a majority of my friends did things that my morality told me were wrong and things that I didn't do. A lot of it was mostly because I also didn't want to get my ass handed to me by my 6'3" cop father.
Right.
All right. But it was morality. The left did everything they could to eliminate prayer from the schools, eliminate the 10 Commandments from public view, eliminate the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
Everything that speaks to the morality of humans in a just and civilized society. The left has gone out of their way to fundamentally rip those things asunder. Take them out. Take them out. And the more that they took out, they make it harder and harder and harder for the middle class and the lower class to spend time with their kids, to teach them about those things, because they make the economy, they cripple the economy. They make the nuclear family a thing of the past, the one job household where a husband could go to work and a wife could raise the children, or a wife could go to work and the husband could raise the children. Gone. It's destroyed. You have the family unit ripped apart. Husband and wife, if they are lucky enough to even still be together, both have to have a job. One usually has to have two. There's nobody there to raise the kids. The kids got to get raised by television and by their friggin' phones. No morality. Look at the numbers of people that go to church every year in this country. The numbers plummeted. Churches are closing all across this country from one end to the other. Government raises your children, not you. Government doesn't teach you about morality. It teaches you amorality. It teaches you all the things that the God tells you is not right. Government says is normal. It rips everything out. There's no compassion in government. There's no love in government. There's nothing in there except tolerance. But if you don't show tolerance, you are not tolerated. You are hated. You are ripped out. You are the outcast. You have nowhere to go, nowhere to turn, nothing you can do. You are the one that's left aside because you're not part of their solution. Because you might have morality. You might have something that tells you the difference between right and wrong, and that's not acceptable in the eyes of the left. There is no right and wrong. There is no right and wrong. It's our way or no way. And when the left has spent generations taking everything that made America that shining city on the hill and takes it out of the classroom, it takes it out of the library, it takes it out of entertainment, it takes it out of the movies, it takes it out of the books, it takes it out of everything, and then tells you, we raise your kids because it takes a village to raise a child. And Joe Biden tells you, your children do not belong to you, they belong to us. And Hillary Clinton tells you that it's their children. Michelle Obama tells you it's their children. Why do you think we have these things happen? Because there's nobody raising these kids. They don't know the difference between right and wrong, and it's to design. It is to design, because the more of these kids that they can lead down paths that don't go anywhere except prison or a grave, the more they can show how much more control they need. They need more control to hold back the mess that they created. And if you look at what's happening on the border is going crazy. They eliminated the first thing the joke. What was it? 53 things that he took out of the border on day one. 53 executive orders that he signed on day one
40.
pertaining to border security.
40 executive orders, but they had different applications. They affected different things. But yeah,
right. He took everything out of every border measure out of existence.
Yes.
And then they blame Republicans for not coming to the table and negotiate. Well, we could stop this tomorrow if Republicans get. No, it was stopped. It was stopped
today.
Left it the hell alone. Let the plan finish out. The plan that was already approved by Congress, signed into law, was already there. You decided to break the law and let it go, and you let everything freaking fall apart to design, as part of your design, to let another 11 million people into this country, to let everything run amok. Why? So that you could tell the people, if you give us more control, we'll fix it. Give us more control and we'll fix it. It was already fixed, or at least on its way to. Everything the left touches turns to shit in this country. And it's by design. Because when this whole thing is one festering pile of crap that even the flies don't want to go near because it stinks so bad, that's the only way they'll be happy, because that's when they'll have the ultimate control. That's what they want. All of this has been designed. That's why I said this has been long ball ever since the days of playing Birth of a Nation in the White House.
Okay.
This is how long this has been going on. They knew they couldn't get it done in a generation. Khrushchev said it. We're not going to institute communism because you're going to do it by yourself. Because we're going to win this war of attrition without firing a shot. We'll win this war without firing a shot. And he was right, because he's got people like Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, and everybody in the deep state who's of the same ideology. They don't give a shit about what they believe. They only give a shit about what they can control.
Yeah, we've seen that.
Once they control it, then they'll institute their beliefs. And when they institute their beliefs, there ain't enough trees for us all to swing from, because that's what they want.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment of it. It's truly terrifying. And again, we keep seeing this. Accusation equals guilt. That's one of the latest forms of that. It's the open promise. We're going to fix gun control. You're going to be safe. Just give us more power. Just give us more freedom.
He can go to court and prove his innocence. Remember those words?
Then again, that was Nancy Pelosi inverting our criminal justice system. Okay, so you've got inversions of justice system. You have the disregard of laws. Oh, you committed a crime? Hey, go right back out into the street. Let's see what happens next. You have this reversal. Let's punish law-abiding gun owners because criminals exist. And we'll never stop the criminals. We're not even trying to stop the criminals. There's no attempt to try and stop the criminals. We see these things, and then we see, again, going back to accusation equals guilt. Oh, you don't agree? You must be guilty. You must be a problem. Oh, red flag law. Accusation equals guilt. Oh, Trump. He must be an insurrectionist. Accusation equals guilt. Oh, you're a Republican. Well, that means you must be MAGA. MAGA must mean that you're a 1930s German. Accusation equals guilt, and we will punish you. We keep seeing these patterns over and over, and you're right. We are seeing these patterns, and all of these patterns are destroying the bedrock. I said something the other week on my live stream, and I think it's very true. The world loves and hates America when America has its focus and its will. When Americans are focused and have our will, we raise more people out of poverty than has ever been done in the history of mankind. We have improved the quality of life for people all across this globe. We took a man and put him on the moon because Americans were focused. We had the will. That's what we were capable of doing. We saved Europe twice. We've helped to end wars all around the world. right or wrong, whether you like it or not, doesn't matter. That's what Americans can do economically, militarily, spiritually. We have been beating down communism all across the world. The experiment's been going on simultaneously with capitalism, and we keep winning. And they keep trying to, they have to destroy this. The left cannot compete because every time they have tried to compete, they have failed. Every time that they have tried to put something else in place of what we have here in America, it has failed. So the answer is, since they can't bring up the competition to the same level, they're going to tear us down. And you're right. It takes decades, generations to do that. But it seems to be working.
Well, they've come far. Not and like I said, they would be happy to take another generation or two to get their plan to come into fruition. The problem is they ran up against the Trump roadblock, and Trump put a tremendous hurdle in front of them, and that with the 2016 election, because not only did he win an election he wasn't even supposed to be in, he helped expose the ugly underbelly of what Washington culture is really like. And to show everybody exactly what was going on, starting with Lois Lerner and the IRS targeting groups. And if I sat there and I wrote every cockamamie thing that I think government could get away with, and I put them in sealed envelopes and put them in a drawer, I could probably come up with maybe 2 or 3 of their next schemes, to show you how crazy they would say, hey, I wrote it down on February 16th. I didn't know they were going to do it in March, but they ran into a roadblock with Trump, and now he exposed a lot of stuff. They didn't kill him. They didn't knock him out completely. Okay, he still had breath in his lungs, so it means he was going to fight, and as long as he was going to fight, he was going to keep bringing the fight to them, to the point where he just kept exposing it, and more Americans are waking up to it and seeing how corrupt government really is. And that's why I said, that's why you're seeing, 3,859 indictments. They're indicting him on everything. He folded his napkin the wrong way at dinner. Indict him. They're going to do anything they possibly can to try and prevent this man from...
Just assume he's guilty of every crime. Here's a crime. We've made up a crime. Here it is. There's no crime. Punish him anyway. It doesn't matter. There's no victim whatsoever. It's still a crime. Punish him anyway.
Well, they figure they know they're never going to be able to put him in prison. So the only thing they could, and they know they can't destroy the man's credibility, because look, here's the thing. You either like Trump or you hate Trump. Mm-hmm. There's no in the middle with him. I mean, you have people that are outrageously pro-Trump. The man is their version of Obama. And that's the cultists, the ones that are out there. Then you get the people that are just as cultist on the hating Trump thing, that won't even look at any of the accomplishments that he made and give him credit for anything that he had, in which he did have a tremendous amount of things. Then you get a lot of people like me. I could take the guy or leave the guy. All right. I like some of his policies. Some of them I have a big problem with. But what I appreciate about him is the fact that he fights. And he shows what's bad. He's showing what's corrupt. I appreciate that. Now, I would appreciate it a whole shitload more that if he wins the next election, when he says, we're not going in for revenge. Listen. If this system that we have right now is not torn down to the studs, and everybody fired, and everybody have their clearances, pulled, all your financing gone, every one of these ABC organizations shut down, torn apart, and ripped down to nothing, and getting back to the basics of the Constitution. If he doesn't do that, he might as well not even be running.
No, because that's not going to happen.
Well, it's got to happen.
It won't happen.
The only way to save this country, the way it is, listen, we can't have these corrupt systems, CIA, FBI, NSA, Education Department, Labor Department, Interior Department, all of these freaking things We cannot have these organizations, the IRS, running the way they've been running, just putting a different figurehead at the top of the pyramid and putting a different person as director on each one of these things. They all need to be destroyed. They need to be taken apart completely. And if they don't serve a purpose, like the ATF, get rid of them. If they don't serve a purpose, like the education department, get rid of it. If it doesn't serve a purpose, like the energy department, get rid of it. We got to get rid of all of these things. It's the only way we're going to get. Listen, you can't have rotted teeth in your mouth and just keep brushing them. You got to pull all of them friggin' rotted teeth out. Otherwise, that infection goes into the bone, gets into the blood, and before you know it, you're dead. You got to get rid of the infection. It's got to get cut out like a tumor. It's got to get cut out. It's got to get irradiated. It's got to get taken out of the body completely. Everything that's corrupt in government has got to go. And they're afraid that he might actually go ahead and do it. That's why they're pulling everything out of the quiver. They're cornered animals right now, and you're gonna see the most desperate acts that you could possibly see. You got district attorneys and felonies trying to convict this guy of things he never even did.
Oh yeah, we didn't get to talk about Fanni and her love affair, which is meant to convict Trump. Again, useless case, weak case. And why is this guy prosecuting this? Because his girlfriend told him to do so. Because his girlfriend is upset. She doesn't like Trump. So for Valentine's Day, he's going to use the state, the government, to go after Trump. This is ridiculous.
Let me ask you a question. Why would you run for office?
I ran for office to
No. I'm speaking generically speaking. I'm not talking about your track record. If you were going to run for office, what is the point of running for office?
What people say, or what the real reason is? Which one do you want?
The reason, if you're running for office, it's because you want to win the race, right?
Yeah.
You generally don't jump into an election unless you want to win.
Right.
He's basically trying to convict the former president of the United States for trying to win his election.
Pretty much. Yeah.
What the fuck else is he supposed to do?
Again, non-crime. It's accusation equals guilt. Where's the crime? There is no crime. Doesn't matter. Don't need a crime. We just need to punish him and anyone else. How dare you? How dare you run? How dare you not be progressive? That's what it winds up being. It's insane. It is insane how authoritarian. Remember they made a TV series, miniseries, America with a K.
Oh, I remember that, 1984.
Yeah, it was 1984, and it was about, what if America became authoritarian? It could never happen here. And they're like, yeah, it could happen within 24 to 48 hours. Literally, America could become authoritarian in a heartbeat. It's very easy. And we're on that process right now. We're in that path. We're normalizing a more and more authoritarian government because we're ignoring the Constitution. And people aren't speaking up. Ask simple questions. It's real simple. Ask the Mayor Quentin Lucas, after he stops running away from what happened in Kansas City, ask him, and what exactly, tell me the exact law that's actually going to stop a bunch of gangs shooting each other. Because all the laws you passed so far haven't worked. So what is the one that's absolutely going to work? He won't be able to answer it. Oh, what's the law that's going to reverse someone? They went down the trans path and they were wrong. What's the law that's going to reverse it for them? Put them back to where they were, factory reset? Oh, there isn't one. Oh, I see. We're going to raise the minimum wage to $150,000 an hour per person per second. Where's the money coming from? How are you going to stop inflation? You don't want to talk about that. We're talking about consequences. We're talking about reactions. And all of this takes more and more government power. None of this happens without a more oppressive, omnipresent, micromanaging government. Oh, you don't want to talk about that part. We can't talk about that part. I'm the bad guy, folks. Here now, Google is going to suppress me because this is no longer surface level, high quality information. It doesn't match their barrier for the 2024 election. So that means I have to be suppressed. This is insane. It's aggravating.
Oh, I had my data. I was America with a K was 1987. It was the day after was 1983. That's the one I was thinking about. That was the nuclear fallout movie. Mm-hmm. That was the one that tried to, in 1983. They came out with the day after to try and prevent Reagan from winning re-election by saying it was so dangerous that he was going to bring around the next nuclear war, and that didn't work. And then they came out with America in 1987 to try and prevent people from voting for George W. Bush.
Do you notice that the nightmares of Hollywood are always about their people and their policies, and the reality, which the American people vote for, never anywhere near it? Oh my God, Trump's going to, all 4 years throughout the entire term of Donald Trump, the next thing, he's going to get us in another war. We're going to be in World War III. The world's going to end. And wait a minute. None of that happened. But Biden got in and we instantly started doubling our troops in the Middle East. And now, how many wars are we involved with? Do people even know how many wars we're involved with? It's ridiculous when we start thinking about it. It doesn't make any. It's so bad.
It makes sense when you look at it through what their lens is. If you look at their end game, it all makes perfect sense. It all makes perfect sense if you look at the end game. If you look at it, your problem, Vass, is that you look at it through the eyes of somebody who's optimistically American, who believes in his heart. You believe in your heart that when somebody takes their hand and puts it on that Bible and they take that oath of office, whatever office that be, that whatever vote that they cast, whatever legislation that they should happen to write, they're doing so on the pretense that it's the best thing for America.
Most of them, yes.
You want to believe that in their heart of hearts, they're looking out for the American way of life. Looking out for their constituents. They want the best for America. Where I happen to be correct when I look at these politicians and I think to myself, they put their hand on the oath to take that oath with the sole purpose of destruction of America. That is their agenda. You just happen to think that, you think the best in people. I know the worst. I know the worst in people. I believe that even 75% of the people that are allegedly on our side of the aisle, when you look at what they actually come in and they vote for, they're voting for the same thing that the other ones are voting for. They're just doing it in a more patriotic way.
We just need real people. We so need real people. I'm talking about waitresses. I'm talking about bus drivers. I'm talking about taxi drivers, Uber Eats. We need real people in our government. We really do. We got to get these people that we are electing. And I know a bunch of them. I've interviewed them. I've talked with them. I got some of their phone numbers. I've known them for years, some of these people. We really got to stop hiring more and more politicians. Literally went to college to study politics. Why are we electing these people? They went to be an attorney, never actually went into a courtroom in their entire lifetime, and yet they're in politics. Why are we electing these people? No, we need real people writing really basic laws that make sense and represent the people that they're there for. That's what people need to do. That's what we need to, they say, oh, well, you can't write in that name. Screw you. I'm writing the name in anyway. I dare you to not count. 10 million people, if you had, as an example, in Colorado, if you had 5 million people write in Trump's name, I dare them not to count that.
No, they don't care. You know why they don't? They won't. They won't count it. You know why? Because the people in this country will do nothing. America's greatest pastime is not baseball. It's not football. It's bitch moaning and complaining. That's the American pastime. The American pastime is sitting there and bitching and moaning and complaining and not doing a goddamn thing about it. Because they get up the following day and they do the same friggin' routine. They go to work, they come home, they bitch, moan, and complain. They get up the next day, they go to work, they come home, they bitch, moan, and complain. They do the same thing every day, and the politicians know it, and they can take advantage of it because Americans don't want to fight back. They don't want to take to the streets and say enough is enough. They don't want to go to the town hall meeting. They don't want to go to their school board meeting. They don't want to go stand on a corner with a sign that says the end is nigh. They don't want to be involved because Joe somebody else is going to go pick up the mantle for them. No, the American pastime is being a lazy bastard who's disconnected from their own government, and it's by design. And it's not because the American people feel that they've been told. You can't fight City Hall. You can't win. You've been told to stay there and you believe them. They tell you every single day when they point and they say, hey, look at your former president, a multi-billionaire with properties all around the world who's managed to snag one of the hottest chicks walking as his wife. Look at what we could do to him. Imagine what we're going to do to you. Oh, you want to step up and run for office? You ain't got a chance in hell. You ain't got a chance in hell. Because the party you want to run as won't support you, and the party that you're running against has got 10 times the money to spend against you. They know you're not going to do shit. They know you ain't going to do shit, and you've been programmed to not do shit. And me, I'm just as bad. I'm just as bad. You know why I'm just as bad, Vass?
Why?
I could run for office if I want to. And I really would love to serve one term in Congress. I would absolutely love to serve one term in Congress, but I've been told under no certain circumstances, I would be alone.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I would be alone. Lori would not tolerate it because she doesn't want her life ripped apart. Because as soon as I would say that I was running for office, they would dig up every episode of this show and use it as a campaign commercial against me. They'd go to the YouTube channel and they pull up every newspaper article I've ever been in, every interview I've ever given. They pull up everything and they do destroy my life. They would dig up Mrs. DeSanto, my kindergarten teacher. They would dig her up out of the grave to try and ask her what kind of a student I was in kindergarten at PS 176.
Yeah,
right. They try to do everything possible. Yeah. She is not going to tolerate that, and sadly, for the country, I can't afford to lose her. So I am going to deprive my fellow Americans with my studious leadership and my vitriol and my take no prisoners, take charge attitude because I love my wife that much. That I can't do that to her. I can't do that to her. If I was single, married to somebody who didn't give a shit, I would have already, taken a crack at the sheriff's office in Mecklenburg County because that guy's a turd. But otherwise, that's what I say. You always try to tell me, be careful what you say, Frank. Careful what you say. Careful what you say. I know you always, you try to be the voice of reason when I get on my rants. Yeah. You don't want to see me hauled off. So you worry about me. And I understand that. I know how to parse my words. I know where the line is. But, this is the extent of what I can do. I can do this. I can teach people. I can recruit people into the Second Amendment. I could tell them what their rights are. I could show them. I could educate people. I could do everything I can. I can do everything I can to the extent I can, but I can't serve in office because Lori wouldn't tolerate it. So I'm making my mark as best I can. I will support candidates who want to come to the floor and want to do what they need to do. I'll be their PA, I'll be their press secretary if they're crazy enough to have me do that kind of work. But otherwise, like I said, unless Trump dismantles this whole damn thing, the only other hope we have is to have enough crazy people run for office that they actually win. Otherwise, ain't shit gonna happen.
Yeah, can't say you're wrong. Can't say that you're wrong. Sorry. How long have we been? Oh, we're over.
Yeah, it was
Time
16.
flies.
What's that?
Time flies.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get off and we're gonna wrap it up anyway. I gotta just as we went on the air tonight, my neighborhood suffered 2 very large explosions.
What?
And we have no idea what they were.
We mean explosions.
I got up into the office. Now I got my noise canceling headphones on so I can do my DJ voice. And I didn't hear it, but the house shook. Lori came up the stairs into my office and she said there were just 2 very loud explosions. And I'm looking at the other computer here on my neighborhood HOA page. And there's talks of all kinds of explosions. That's why I went blank for a couple of minutes. I had to leave here and go check the property. We weren't sure what it was.
Gas explosion. 1 dead, 17 injured. NBC. Nope. Sorry. Wrong story. Sorry, didn't want to. I thought it was NBC. No, I'm not seeing it yet.
Well, I hope it's not a gas explosion because I almost had Lori convinced today we should swap out our stove for a gas electric hybrid. I really want a gas stovetop. I really want
gas
a gas.
Is good. Electric.
I can't saute anything worth the shit on a glass stovetop on an electric oven. I gotta have
is horrendous. Electric is the worst.
Is great for baking. Electric is great for broiling, and like slow cooking and stuff like that because you could really regulate the temperature perfectly. But as far as a stovetop is concerned, you need flame. And I so want to do gas in the kitchen. We have gas in the house as it is now. We got a gas furnace and stuff like that. So it's not like we're a stranger to it. But Lori's like, I don't want another thing in the house that could possibly explode.
It won't explode.
I'm like, have you seen my office? Have you seen my office?
Yeah. I mean,
you worried? You worried about things exploding? You've seen my office.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I don't see any articles.
Nah, it happened at 9:08 this evening. So I got to try and investigate into that a little bit to find out what's going on.
All right. Well,
we have a guy who lives up the road a little bit who do you remember me telling you when I lived upstate I had that crazy neighbor?
Yeah.
That had all that problem with for all of those years that when the tree fell through his house, I went over and rebuilt his house. Yeah. Well, we have another crazy neighbor here in this town. And I have yet to come across this person, but other people have. And a couple of nights ago, there was a litany of first responders piled up outside his property. Fire department, paramedics, police, a whole bunch of stuff. And nobody knows what happened. We can't seem to find out what's going on. I try and check the police blotter. Everybody's tight-lipped. Nobody wants to say anything about them. This is a guy who has been convicted of attempted murder.
Oh.
And he's a lunatic, this guy. And the sound of the explosion sound like it came right from that guy's house, and it's not that far from where I am. So I have to.
Okay.
I'm kind of wondering if maybe there was a self-barricaded situation a couple of days ago, and they just decided to leave well enough alone, and maybe it may have resolved itself at 9:08 this evening.
Possible. It wouldn't be his first time. Yeah, could be.
Not because this guy has already threatened such action.
Well, let's find out and then let me know.
We'll figure it out. All right. Listen, I'm gonna. If you want to stay on and do a couple of things, I'm just gonna all right. Again, I want everybody, if you can, please check out the fundraiser that we have. If you can't find it or you can't find it on a link on the thing, look up the name Paul Harrell. It's PaulHarrell fundraiser, and it'll be the first thing that pops up on your Google search bar over there. Spend the $25, buy a Paul Harrell t-shirt. You're going to be supporting the fight against cancer and helping Paul and his family get through a very, very difficult time. We need him to get well. This isn't a matter of we want him to get well. We need him to get well. The man is he's a mensch. I'll use it that way. That's the best word I could use for my friends who speak Yiddish. The man's a mensch. And he's always doing a mitzvah for somebody. He's a good guy. Another thing is, if you can, Raul Mendez, you guys may have remembered Raul from a couple of months back. He was on our program. Raul, he is a bona fide American hero. Sure. He was shot in the head, lost an eye at a barbecue, and even though everyone at the place thought he was dead, including his wife, family, and himself, managed to find the courage and the strength to stand up, retrieve his own firearm, and take out the active shooter on his own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I remember it.
And Raul did his community a great service. He saved over the lives of over 20 people, and we tell the story. Raul has a GoFundMe page to try and help because he's, like I say, he lost an eye. He's deaf in one ear. He'll never taste food again. The guy is, he's got a lot of problems through that. But now Raul's got himself a little website where he's helping support his family by selling Second Amendment merchandise.
Cool.
And it's I love it's. I was hoping to have my shirt. I'll have it by next show. I have a Raul Mendez shirt coming. His organization that he has is called One Eye Defense.
I like that.
Because Raul's now got one eye. So if you look up One Eye Defense, that's one, the letter I, and then defense, you'll find his website. It's oneeyedefense.com. It's firearm parts, accessories, Cerakote, stippling, a whole bunch of stuff like that. If you can, hop on and buy a Raul shirt. It's a cool shirt. It's a picture of him with his one eye. Raul's a beautiful human being. He's got a beautiful family. It's him, his wife, his kids. Stand-up American hero. Help him out. He could definitely use the help and support of the community because he is the Second Amendment community. He is what we should all aspire to be. Somebody brave enough to stand up in the face of evil and have the courage and fortitude to stand up, fight back, take control, and win. That's Raul Mendez. Then I'm proud to call Raul my friend. So if you can, go to One Eye Defense, pick something up from him, whatever the hell it'll be. He's got a whole bunch of stuff. I got a stack of Raul One Eye Defense stickers. I ordered the wrong color. They're clear with black writing. So when I put them on my cab on my truck, I don't see them. I have to get clear with white writing so they stand out against my window tint. But I digress. Maybe I'll give those out next week. OneEyeDefense.com, Raul Mendez, and the Paul Harrell fundraiser. Please take care of those two things if you can. Those good people. You guys are if you're in the audience and you're here with us, you're one of us. We're one of you. Let's support one another and help our communities get to a better and brighter day.
Yep.
So with that, I'm going to say goodnight. Remember to check out the Range Report on YouTube. Go to L1F.us and join up with our yearly membership. You might win a rifle that I'm not allowed to show you because they'll cut all our episode. Make sure that you check out Vast and No Sound Bites Allowed every Sunday at
2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And you can find them just about anywhere. I mean, you go to BettyCrocker.com and Matt's has got a window that pops up and you get live stream long form commentary. The guy's everywhere. Everywhere. And
Pretty much all the big major ones, yeah.
The Dragon of the Bronx. Folks in the audience, thank you again. You guys be safe, shoot straight. We'll catch you guys next week. We love you.
Yeah.